Rachel Herrick is a puppeteer and voice actor whose credits include Crank Yankers and Little Mermaid Live. In part 2 of our interview, we talk about the pandemic's impact on puppeteers, how to keep your skills up when you're working from home, and her dream puppet job. But first, Rachel had a question for us.
I want to know from you guys how you think the pandemic has affected the puppet community.
Well, I can tell you, as a puppet company that is surviving this pandemic, one thing that we have discovered as a lot of productions went dark, especially in 2019. I feel like a lot of people kind of took stock and they started to sort of re-examine their own lives. And we started making more puppets for individuals. Perhaps there were people that always had a dream of having this little character. They had a dream of making this little puppet, but they never really had the time, or they never really thought this was the right moment. And I feel like a lot of people kind of looked inward and decided, now it's time to do something for me. So a lot of the puppets that we built during the pandemic were for clients all across the nation and the world, actually, that were more more personal projects. So that's I know that's one impact. I also know that puppets work pretty good in a Zoom setting. You'll definitely win your office party if you come in with a puppet.
Yeah, also, whenever you come in with a puppet, people are always like,
yeah.
It always brightens everybody's day.
I mean, this time in 2019, we were doing shows at the LA Zoo, for their or around this time for their Earth Day celebration.
Yeah.
2020, we couldn't do any shows, and so they had us create original content for them that was for their YouTube channel. So I will say though, when it first happened, it was hard. When it first started, we kind of were really back-footed, trying to figure out, how do we, we're just trying to find eggs and milk. Like that was the first thing was hard. Just trying to get like normal provisions, trying to find paper towels and such. But then once we sort of got normal life a little stabilized, then we began to think about, what other services can we offer to folks beyond live shows? And like Sean said, puppet building, man. Everybody needs a puppet. Whether they know it or not, everybody needs a puppet. A lot of individual creators have been sort of striking out on their own and creating their own content.
So in years past, you're like, when we did Kidding or Crank Yankers, maybe you're making 30 or 40 puppets for one client. During the pandemic, we made one puppet for 30 clients. And actually, I see that, I hope that's continuing. I mean, it just so happens that right before the pandemic, as you know, because Rachel edited our demo reel, right before the pandemic hit, we launched our new website, we had our new logo, and we launched our new demo reel. So a lot of people that find our services, I think, are finding it through online. So the question I have for you is, do you have any thoughts and ideas or advice for people at keeping their skills up during a time when maybe production isn't happening?
Yeah, I think for sure, obviously practicing is the best thing. I actually personally set up a camera in my apartment, a whole camera monitor setup so that I could actually keep up my puppeteering skills. And I set that up also. I was living at my parents' house for a little while too during the pandemic, and I had set it up there also. Just because you never know. I knew it could be a while when these things could happen again, but I was just like, I don't want the skill level to go down though. So right. I kept that up. I think just practicing absolutely is the best thing you can do. Also, just in general, even before the pandemic, when it comes to doing voiceover, I just like to keep up with my characters. I have lots of commercial copy that I've collected over the years that I'll just practice with every once in a while. Something that actually Leslie Carrera Rudolph, who some of you may know is Abby Cadabby on Sesame Street, one thing she talked about on a podcast was that she wrote in character every day.
Oh,
and I was like, that's really interesting. So I've tried to also take on that, which is to, just write or journal as a character. If you have these characters that you're developing, I think a great way to develop them even more is to just do something like that, because you never know what could come out of just doing something like just writing in character and seeing what comes out of it. So I think that that's something that's worth trying out there if you want to develop characters. whatever works best for you. But I have found that writing in character definitely brings out things that I didn't know could come out.
Interesting. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Sarah Berman says that you're a fab puppeteer.
Oh, thanks, babe. You too. Sarah and I, by the way, puppeteered on Little Mermaid Live together.
That's right. Sarah was somehow Sarah Berman doing a fish puppet just fits.
Exactly.
The aquarium of the Pacific.
Sarah does have a question, which is, I saw it went by and didn't see what it was. It was, like, what's the dream character for you to play?
Gosh, I mean, the dream character for me, for sure, is to, I'm not going to be shameful about it. I would love to perform in Avenue Q, and you guys have heard me talk about this. It's a dream, and if it never happens, then all well, say la vie. But it's just, that is what really got me into wanting to be a puppeteer, actually, was Avenue Q, because I always liked puppets when I was a kid, and I, of course, watched Sesame Street, but I think it was watching something like that, the puppeteer and the puppet, like, in full view, that just was like, oh, that's the magic of puppetry. I get it now. So, whatever the circumstance, I think I for sure would love to be involved with a production at some point in time, whether it's doing Kate and Lucy, or even Mrs. T and the Yellow Bear, or even just doing something behind the scenes. I don't know, or even just being a puppet captain on a production would be pretty incredible. I feel like that's the ultimate puppet dream. I mean, besides, like, of course, there's the usual, like, oh, I'd love to perform in Sesame Street one day, and you never know, maybe that will, maybe it won't happen. But I feel like if I had to pick one thing, it's doing something in Avenue Q of some kind.
So someone here is saying that they really like your YouTube videos.
Thank you.
This would be a nice time to talk about your YouTube channel. If people want to see you on YouTube, what is your YouTube, and what kind of sort of stuff do you do, and how does that tie into your puppetry and voiceover and all that?
Sure. My YouTube channel is Adorkable Rachel, or youtube.com/Adorkable Rachel, and it's adorkable, not adorable, just FYI. That's kind of like the coin name I've penned to myself for a long time. And I have not been active on it for a while because I got busy with other things. 2019 was especially busy, and then of course the pandemic happened and I was taking care of my family. But I've had ideas of getting things started again. What really got me started on it was just talking about Muppet content, because I was like getting into puppetry and I was obsessed with it, and I still am obsessed with, the Muppets and everything. But there hasn't been as much stuff to talk about in like the last few years as there was like 5 years ago. And then I also talked about movies and did trailer reactions because people like watching those. But I've been thinking about trying to get more involved with doing it. Something else I have done on there that I would love to do more of is interviews. I interviewed Tyler Bunch. I interviewed Mike Quinn. I interviewed John Tartaglia. That was amazing. I would love to get more involved with the puppet community and make people more aware of the puppeteers in our community and do more stuff like that as well. So we'll see. Hopefully sometime, in the next few months, if not sooner, I'll be doing something more on there. Maybe
you could just share with the audience here some of your favorite performing tips. Like what are some really, some key nuggets that you maybe heard along the way that really helped you in your performing, voiceover or puppetry? Sure, I'll try to fling these out as quickly as I can. First of all, when it comes to practicing lip syncing, practice like songs that you listen to. Practice when you're in the car. Honestly, I do that all the time. Like if my jam song comes on, I will literally just do this throughout the whole entire song. And definitely practice to those kind of songs. Practice lip syncing for sure. Remember that it's on the syllables, try to stick to the syllables. And one heated word of advice I can offer is if you're trying to get into performing or puppeteering or voice acting or whatever is, I feel like the best advice I've ever heard is, people say, first of all, be yourself, which is, a no-brainer, when it comes to acting. Don't try to imitate other people. When you create characters, you can of course come up with imitations to create a character, but I think it's really important to trust yourself more than anything. Trust that you are the magic that really brings a character to life. Don't try to be Frank Oz. Don't try to be Tara Strong, who's a voice actor if no one knows. I think it's really important though, there's only one you, and you are truly the one who's going to bring the magic to the table. Don't think that you have to be someone else. Trust in your ability. Trust that you deserve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve and want to do. And just keep practicing and keep researching to make sure you're on top of the trends. Make sure
you're on top of what's popular and what people are looking for, and just trust that you're worthy of it. Hope that makes sense.
That was great. Great
Yeah.
way to
Well,
close.
I have one last question.
Okay.
I think this is
Okay.
important. You're a hustler. Like, you work and you are always hustling. I'm wondering if you have any advice for some folks out there. Sometimes it's hard for creative people to kind of get themselves motivated. How do you get yourself motivated, and how do you keep pushing forward?
Gosh, and I'll be honest, there are days where it can be hard to do that, you know, especially with the pandemic and just questioning your own ability. Because even though I said what I just said, there are days where we as artists are like, but am I truly worthy? I think what really motivated me more than anything, me personally, is I do try to spend time every day meditating and finding mantras that motivate me and that help me recognize, like, you know, saying things to yourself like, you know, I am love, I am talented, I am an inspiration, I am inspiring people. Journal for sure. And then also, of course, set goals for yourself. I make lists all the time of things that I want to get done this week, things I want to get done today, things I want to get done, you know, before I go for a run, you know, that sort of thing. This is just the things that apply to me personally. But yeah, make lists for sure. Meditate if you have the time for that. It's very calming. It's very reassuring. I recommend it if you can find a way to meditate. And yeah, just and oh yeah, and of course, just make sure that the things that you're doing in life bring joy to you. Because if you're doing something that does not spark joy in you, then you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. So find things that spark joy, and if something's not sparking joy, find out why it's not. And if it's not speaking to your soul, then find something else.
Thanks for watching, and join us next time for another episode of the Swazzle Lunch Break.